I'll start with Reema Singh. Reema is a seasoned and passionate educator with over 20 years experience in the field of teaching. She is a gold medalist and with a master's in science with a specialization in nutrition from Lady Irwin College of Delhi University. Before taking up teaching as a profession, she was a nutritionist and a counselor in the health sector. She has co-authored a book on nutrition. An active learner herself, she was awarded the Golden Leaf Award for the Diploma in Environmental Education from the Center for Environmental Education, affiliated to the Commonwealth of Learning, Vancouver. She is the founder head of DPS International School, Gurgaon, the first DPS to offer the IB curriculum. She is a keen sports person with her interests including reading, travel, trekking, and games like tennis, basketball, and golf. She firmly believes that students can learn a lot in life on a sports field and ensures an ongoing focus on physical wellness along with social and emotional wellness in schools. Thank you, Reema, for joining us today.
Thank you, Aditi,
we
for having me here.
With us Ankit, who is director of Rocksport. Rocksport is no stranger to anybody who has been with school or with in adventure. Rocksport is India's largest adventure program that introduces participants to the world of adventure sports. The program provides exposure to multiple elements of adventure and outdoor activities in a safe and controlled environment. Currently, Rocksport has catered to more than 14.5 lakh students over 750 schools. It operates pan-India and overseas with 8 day-out campsites and 12 residential campsites in the country. At the young age of 14, Ankit was awarded for his knowledge, survival skills like mapping signaling by the then President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam for reaching up to President level Scouts and Guides. Since then, he has spent more time sleeping under the open skies than under a roof. Lucky you, Ankit. He also took active interest in theatre and was a regular with Khilona Theatre, Sahitya Kala Parishad and NSD. He loves travelling, trekking, camping and is a nature lover. He believes that lives come with an expiry date, so one must enjoy each and every moment. Thank you, Ankit, for joining us.
Thank you.
We have another enthusiast, Tanya. By education and past experience, Tanya has a master's in business administration and a teacher for international exams like the SAT and the GMAT. For the last 3 years, he has successfully run a blog called www.welldiefit.com, where she, along with other fitness enthusiasts and experts, write about fitness, mental health, and motivation. She has actively pursued her zeal for health and wellness through yoga and running for the past 8 years now. She is the co-founder of Headed Run, a strong group of 13 women runners, cyclists, swimmers who urge women to shed their inhibitions in sports and fitness. Tanya is also a TEDx speaker. Her talk was about building a passion resume. Thank you, Tanya. We all wish to hear you and learn from you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for having me here.
We have also with us Sapna, who is a member of the DPS Gurgaon family. She is a founder teacher of the school. An avid sports person during her school and college days, Sapna is a passionate science teacher as well. She believes that a fit mind needs a fit body. She runs various programs for the school related to adventure, travel, and sports. As you can guess, she is the children's favorite person, and they run to her each time they wish to be on the field more than in the classroom.
Thank you.
Last and most enthusiastic member is Arjun Thadani, an alumnus of DPS Gurgaon from the batch of 2010. He was the head boy of the school. After struggling with being overweight during his early school years, he has been a fitness enthusiast since the year 2008. He has a lot of practical knowledge on strength training and functional fitness. He's also a golf enthusiast. Thank you so much, Arjun. I don't remember you being overweight at all, ever. You always look the way you look now.
Thank you for having me, ma'am.
And fit. So I'll roll off the webinar with opening lines of not more than 1 minute for each of you. When the pandemic was announced in early March and then a lockdown in the middle of March, what were the first thoughts that came to your mind as fitness enthusiasts, as people who want to be outdoors than indoors? First thoughts. I'll begin in the same order. Reema ma'am first.
Thank you, Aditi, and I'm very happy to meet all the fellow enthusiasts, fitness enthusiasts on this virtual platform. going back almost 3 months when it was first announced that we are going to be homebound now and what lockdown actually means. It took a few days to understand what this lockdown is going to be. And one of the first casualties was physical activity and the opportunity to go out of the house. I'm a very outdoor person, and I know when I'm at home, I feel very caged if I haven't been out. Physical activity, going outdoors, connecting with nature is actually a mood lifter for me. So you can imagine when that opportunity is not there, I tend to be in a snappy mood. So within 2-3 days, I realized that I will have to regulate my work schedule and bring in some movement and activity in my daily life if I have to survive this for few weeks that time, and now it seems as months. So that was my initial reaction of finding ways to build movement in my daily life within the four walls of my home.
Wow, thank you. Ankit?
Ma'am, so as soon as I got the news of lockdown, the first and foremost thing came into my mind was that I will not be able to visit the mountains and hike on the beautiful trails. It has been 12 years I haven't encountered Delhi heat. Out of 365 days, approximately 200 days, I am on my wheels or I am somewhere there in the hills and in the outdoors. So this was the biggest shock to me that at that time I was not sure that it would be that much long. But the first 15 days of lockdown was very much troublesome for me. Somehow now I have adapted it and now I am at home and doing various kind of different things. But yes, actually it was a shock that I will not be able to go and visit the mountains again.
Thank you for your candid honesty. Tanya?
Ma'am, as you know, I'm a runner. So for me, the first thing that struck me was, oh, damn, I'm not going to be able to run. But immediately after that, I said, no worries. I have a wall in the house and I'm going to do my handstands and I'm going to do my headstands and I'm going to get stronger. I'm not going to let go of my fitness. That's it.
Wow. Determination is the key, right? Sapna ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am. So first, when the lockdown was announced, my first reaction was, oh, we can't go to school. So that was the first shock. And my first feeling actually was, I'm going to go on a road without milestones. But then slowly and steadily took control of the situation at home, a lot of work. And I remember your initiating that video, the physical video in the first leg of the lockdown was such a saver, I can't tell you. And from that day, the blessings have become the milestones. Thank you for that, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Sapna ma'am, for being ever enthusiastic and positive. Arjun, over to you, beta.
So, ma'am, when the lockdown was announced, the only thing that came to my mind was do whatever it takes to maintain my fitness level. That's how I'd sum it up.
Fantastic. So what I'm getting from all five of you is the determination that you're not going to let it get you down and you are going to move ahead and find ways to stretch your body even if you can't go out. Fantastic. It's a great message for those who are listening. Rima, my first question comes to you now. As a student of nutrition and now as a head of school and as somebody who's very fit, I have had meals with you where I have been astounded by how sensibly you eat. How do you think the lockdown has affected the children's diet? Because diet is directly linked to fitness levels.
Yeah, so the children are going through a lot of, various kind of effects. This lockdown actually has had different effects on children's life, on the physical routine and also on the diet. So being confined inside the house, the natural tendency is to reach out for food. Something which they would not be able to do normally in a school day when they have a fixed routine of going and coming back, and probably initially it is only restricted to weekends or the school breaks. But now quick access to food, getting bored to some extent, not being able to meet friends. So food is a great comfort. And we know that children in the growing years anyway are hungry at all times. So this is one aspect of the effect lockdown has had on children, and I think parents and everybody, adults at home, need to keep that in mind, how to regulate this eating habit now. On the other hand, I think the another effect is that going and eating out has become restricted. Takeaways or ordering food has become restricted because it's not safe anymore. So a lot of focus is on food being cooked at home. So this is an advantage to an extent, which I think again parents and moms need to capitalize on. involve children and make them understand why home food is, good enough, and at the moment why we need not to order from outside because of safety reasons and also economical reasons. Children have to be involved in what's happening at home. There's no point spending, a lot of money on pizzas and burgers when you can make things at home. So I would say that there are these two effects, and parents play a big role in, helping children regulate their feeding habits at home and monitoring what the children are eating. We can talk about as we go along of what all parents can do. I can share that a little later. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Arjun, I'll bring you in now. As a fitness enthusiast, your fitness regimen must have taken a hit too, like you just mentioned. So what advice would you give to young people to ensure first fitness levels stay high, and second that they eat well? I'm linking it to Rima ma'am's question, because I think even young people who are at home, I've seen that little message that comes across when it's on the fridge that no, you're not hungry, you're just bored. So what is your advice regarding diet and fitness regimen for young people?
Okay, so ma'am, definitely the lockdown has impacted a lot of parts of our lives, a lot of aspects, and physical fitness, outdoor activities are a very important part of our lives. And definitely the lockdown has directly impacted that. So I've been in and out of the gym for about 10 plus years now. And during that period, there has been a certain phases when I was out of town for my job and all that stuff, which ranged about 6 to 7 months, where I couldn't visit the gym. And I've been in the gym and I used to go every morning. So I have learned during those times that it's not important to only go to a gym. You can make a gym wherever you require it. So your body is a very important aspect of going to the gym. So if I wanted to just do a normal routine, I can just start with, let's say, a routine of 100 push-ups, 100 squats, and 100 pull-ups probably. That will give me an essential amount of activity targeting all my major muscle groups. So body weight exercises are something which anyone can start anywhere, including your own home. You don't require any equipment for it. There's no investment for it. And thankfully for technology, we have a lot of access. And from bloggers like Tanya, you get a lot of access to content where, you can build your own routines, you can maintain your diets, you can maintain your fitness regimes. And when I did begin working out in school, it was all from home. I visited the gym for the first time in 2011, which was 2 years after I actually began working out from home. So I would definitely say if you're motivated, if you're convinced, you can work out from anywhere in the world.
Wow. And about the diet bit, when people do
Yeah. So if I would target a diet aspect, I would say that the Indian diet actually lacks a lot of protein content. And that is something which is very important. And a lot of parents from the early years of their children, they don't provide enough protein content. Our food is really carb rich, which does help you gain a lot of weight, but it doesn't help you build enough strength or muscular fitness. So I would recommend children should focus on eating a lot of protein if you're planning to work out. You should cut down on carbs after 7:30 in the evening. These minor changes itself helps you, reduce a lot of weight. It helps you build a long-term physical trajectory, which does help in the long term. I mean, like when I was in school, I used to weigh 95 kgs. Today I'm sub 75. And I'm probably 10 years after that. So, I mean, it's definitely possible. Diet control is 80% of fitness, actually. So I would say focus on your diet and focus on your fitness routines, and you should be good.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Arjun. That message reaches out to everybody, young and old, and in school and in college and later, that you have to eat fit, you have to stay fit, and you have to not look for a gym and not find excuses to not exercise like I sometimes do, but do try and keep yourself fit.
Yes.
My next question goes up to Tanya. So as a fitness and health blogger and a marathon runner, you're pretty inspiring for all the people that I know of, Tanya. Tell us a little bit about how you started your fitness journey.
Ma'am, I've always been active. I have good genes, very honestly. I have a very active set of parents and I love nature. But honestly, fitness came into my life when I was carrying my first little girl in my tummy. And I started doing yoga at that time, and completely out of curiosity, I was in the hospital in Cradle for my checkup, and I saw I just got a glimpse of the yoga class going on the side, and I saw this beautiful Marathi young girl who was teaching yoga, prenatal yoga, and it really fascinated me. And I joined those classes. I started doing yoga. I I had an amazing delivery, normal delivery. And after that, I took up Iyengar yoga. I went to Rishikesh, got myself trained. I loved it. And after my second child, I started running completely out of getting my stamina back. I just wanted my stamina back because I wanted to go for a trek to Nepal, to Annapurna. And I was told that the fastest way to increase your stamina is by running. And that's how I started running. I did my first half marathon within the first year of my second child, and then I just could never hold back. And honestly, since then, even though yoga and running have been going on side by side, I have recently started enjoying strength training a lot. And so between breathing practices, yoga, running, last 8 years have been just really beautiful.
Wow. Thank you so much, Tanya, for that insight, because sometimes people think that you only have to start young. You started something when you were going to become a mummy. So that's
I'm young, but I'm still young.
Even I'm young. In my mind, we haven't gone beyond that. Ankit, my next question goes out to you. As somebody who's been running this amazing rock sport, which all of us, I think Reema and I as heads of school, completely trust your organization. And I think parents have also built that, built into the trust. And you've been running these camps for children of various ages from various schools in various cities and states. What have you noticed in the last few years about children's resilience and levels of endurance? I'm not talking enthusiasm. All the enthusiastic ones come. Yes, that's true. But what have you noticed about their general resilience and their general level of endurance?
Ma'am, I would like to answer this question, but before that, I would like to tell you about my perspective on this physical wellness. And it is that a balance of physical activity, nutrition, and mental health will result in physical wellness. So good health is not something we can buy, but however, it can be an extremely valuable savings account. So with various inventions of modern technology and extensive use of it, we have disrupted the sync we had with the natural clock. So hence we should first align ourselves to the natural clock and plan our meals and day activities according to it. What adventure and outdoor teaches us is that we all should strive to become what I've learned from adventure is becoming Sarvgun Sampan. And there are 5 basic guns which I would like to talk on. It is gun of waking up early. Wake up early, involve yourself in some yoga, meditation, HIIT, cycling, running, etc. 9 to 2 p.m. is the time where we talk about gun of working hard. So human mind can do the most challenging tasks between this particular time span of the day. 2 to 5 p.m. is the time where we talk about gun of creative thinking. So if you are at office, plan your brainstorming meetings at this time. If you're a student, then try to learn new things at this time, like skills, playing instruments, reading books, etc. Then comes the good of daily introspection. Assess your skills, play competitive games, and above all, give some time to what you did the entire day and plan the coming days from the learnings you have derived. And good of de-stressing, which is the most important one. Spend time with your families, spend time with your friends, watch movies, listen to music, etc., etc. But all the above goods are meaningless if we are not having proper meals on time. So understanding today's scenario, I would say that 6 a.m. wake up, 8 a.m. breakfast, 1 p.m. lunch, and 4 p.m. high tea, and 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. dinner, 10 p.m. sleep. This is what we should follow for the physical wellness. Now coming to your question, yes, it has dropped drastically. I remember during my school days and the great time I have spent in Scout and Guides programs, we used to go and live in ashrams in the jungles, forest rest houses, and other remote areas where we had limited resources. We had to do all the work on our own, like making bed, food, cleaning utensils, and even planning the day with our teachers. During this course, we used to learn how to cope in spite of barriers, setbacks, or limited resources. And that's how we developed resilience. Now compare it to the kind of facilities, comfort or freedom we give to the kids. Even I as a parent. So, bindi nahi khani, order it from McDonald's. It's too sunny, don't go out for play. And above all, mild pain in the head, take medicine. Cheek bhi aa gayi, to cough syrup le lo ya koi medicine le lo. On a broader scale, parents interfering or extending extraordinary support in all decision-making tasks of a child's life is actually reducing the child's resilience. So at camps, I have seen and experienced children saying, sir, while hiking, I have not walked that long in my life. How do I sleep on ground beds? There are no TVs. How do I live without my mobile phone? How do I access my Insta and Snapchat? There is no internet here. And they feel trapped. They are with their friends, but still they are not happy. Above all, as we all have discussed, more screen time, less physical activities, and bad food habits, and irregular sleeping habits, and all kind of facilities and comforts are resulting in reduced endurances as well. So, the human body has been designed to resist an infinite number of changes and attacks brought about by its environment. We should also abide by it. That is what I have to say.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That's such a wonderful answer, I think, for all the parents who are watching. I now come to one of the teachers in the group, that is Sapna ma'am. As a teacher, you've observed that children are not physically active, especially now during the lockdown. When we are entering our classes also, we see them and they sometimes complain that they're not feeling enthused, they're feeling lethargic. These are very frightening signs for a teacher. What would your advice be, Sapna ma'am, for the parents and children at this time?
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. That's a growing concern when I interact with parents. That's a growing concern with parents that now that most of the things are happening online, our children are not physically active. But I think if there is a problem as a science teacher, there has to be a solution. So we know that this generation is very tech savvy. Technology is in their DNA. So I tried this out. When I was talking to my class, so there are a lot of apps which are there now, like a Fitocracy, like a Habit RPG, wherein you set your own challenges. Like a study buddy, you have a sports buddy. So children are missing a lot of connect with their friends. So what they do is they connect with their friends through these apps and have their weekly challenges. So one very innovative thing that happened in one of my classes was that they had a competition between two teams, 5 children on one side, 5 children on the other side. So they were competing with their own set of challenges, and at the end of the week, there were badges and winners and challenge winners. So it used to come virtually on their apps, and that was kind of an incentive for them. So they are, they are gamifying their physical activity also. So I would suggest the parents that their parents' dots are all there in front of you. You just need to support your child to connect those dots for them to be a little less on screen and a little more physical. That's where it has worked.
Thank you, Sapna ma'am. Tanya, I link my question to you from what Sapna ma'am has said, that we need children to be active even during the lockdown, and something that Arjun has also said. What would your advice be now, like as a mom also? You have young children. What are you doing with them to ensure that they stay fit? Although you're now in a relatively less lockdown space, but we in the NCR are locked down. We are scared to go out. So what would your advice be to parents of young children?
My first advice is actually a question to parents. I mean, are you fit enough in the first place? I think kids emulate, and I think kids at any age emulate. I don't think that my parents have stopped influencing me. I'm 40. I don't think my parents have stopped influencing me. So the first question in the format of an advice to parents is, are you guys fit? Are you guys spending less time on phone? Are you guys spending less time on apps? I don't know. Are you? So that's the first thing I need to know. And secondly, are you waking up earlier? Or are you watching a lot of Netflix in the night? And are you doing that? How often are you doing that? Right? So parents are working, but kids are home all the time and they need your time. So I think parents also need to imbibe some fitness habits for the kids to see that, oh, there is fun in fitness as well. And I don't think that this point can be put aside at all. So as a mother or as a father, what are you doing in front of your kids for them to see that fitness is really important? Of course, there are so many apps, so many things are happening. There are taekwondo classes happening online. There are so many kinds of yoga sessions happening online. There is so much happening, but I don't know, where is the child supposed to derive fun from that app if he's not seeing anyone use it? If all the parents are doing is fixing those sessions on WhatsApp, I don't think there's any fun for the kid to actually enjoy something like that, to be very honest. And I do think that 1 hour of physical activity is extremely important, whether you're an adult, a young person, or a kid. So 1 hour, and it could also mean helping your parents with the household chores. Now, if your child is above 10, why not teach that kid how to clean up the house? Most of us are without part-timers right now, and all of us do not have the privilege of a full-time help. So have you taught your kid how to do pocha? There is a spin mop coming online on Amazon. It's an amazing tool for kids to learn how to mop their houses. No, I don't think so they do. You know, giving the jhadu in the kid's hand is such a status letdown for most parents. I'm really sorry, but that is the truth. It's such a big letdown for most parents, so they won't let them do it. But actually, if you sit down and do pocha, the number of calories you burn, it's amazing. And after that, I would say, do not look at your carbs, do not look at your proteins. Daba ke khao, daba ke kaam karo. Why not? You know, why as a kid would I tell my 10-year-old or my 15-year-old ki yaar tum chapati kam khao? No, please eat. But then let's just work out. You know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't talk about diet to kids. No, I don't want kids to look at food as carbohydrates and proteins. Of course, as a parent, it's really important that I stuff the protein in some form and give it to them, but I don't want to make them conscious of what they're eating. I want them to eat. I want them to enjoy, because like you said, food is the first thing people are reaching out. I mean, why just kids? Even we are reaching out to food in the very first place. Yes or no? I mean, Instagram, social media, galore of everybody turning into a chef. We see people trying Moroccan dishes and Chinese and, you know, the works. So I would say do it with them, show them the fun, and then let them eat what they want.
Thank you, Tanya. That was fantastic. I think a great takeaway for all parents to have fun while trying fitness regimes. I think it's a great, we've been talking about, you know, talking with the children and playing board games. You've gotten a beautiful new aspect of being together while exercising. Why not begin the morning with that? You know, it's a great way to wake up. And if it becomes fun, if it's something the child looks forward to because he or she is able to spend time with the parents, I think it's a win-win situation. That's a great takeaway for all parents. Thank you so much.
I also, sorry, I really want to add this here. If you can buy a hula hoop and just spend 10 minutes trying and learning that hula hoop with your child, it's fantastic. It is fun, it is fitness, and you cannot get bored. Sorry, ma'am, sorry to cut you.
No, not at all. And it's hilarious as well. If you take a video of yourself with the hula hoop in the first few minutes, it can be a lot of fun for everybody. Rima, my question is now linked to what Tanya just said, and she spoke about a healthy diet. As a nutritionist, what would be your advice for children and for parents to eat healthy while making it fun and interesting?
So when it comes to food, you know, children can be unpredictable. Sometimes they will just polish off everything on the plate, and sometimes they'll just spend the whole, you know, dinner time just moving the food from here to there. So, and as Tanya said, we need not panic so much. It's not fair to cut out food from children's life already when they're just beginning, they're growing then. And at home, it's so important that we set in the right food habits, of course. But there are a lot of other things which we can do to set these habits rather than focusing on one food item that this is good or bad. Actually, no food is good or bad. Each food has place in our lives and on our plate for some reason or the other. So first thing I would say to moms is that the 80-20% rule is good enough. Do not make it such a big thing and, you know, talk of the whole day that the child hasn't eaten. If 80% of food what the child eats is what you want them to eat, it is good enough. 20% if they're not eating the way you want, that's fine. 80% of food, nutritious food has gone into them, that's good enough. Also, it's very important to explain to the children the why behind everything. Children are natural inquirers. So as parents, if you tell them why you want them to eat a particular thing, what is the benefit, that does help. Right now, why are we not ordering food from outside? It's important for them to know. Why are we cooking at home? Why are we handling food so safely? Why are we being economical in our food habits? Shopping habits have changed. So involve the children in that. And of course, then other things like involve the children in menu planning. You will be surprised that they will have their own ideas and choices. And when the ownership is there, that participation is there, they are more enthusiastic about what is being made at home. Introduce them to all the ingredients at home. I'm sure most of them don't even know the names of all the spices we have, which are so important to build immunity. Indian kitchens are blessed with these spices which build immunity. Let the children know about that. Children are learning about food, food groups in school. I think all children start learning in grade 3 and 4. What are the food groups? So a simple way which I always talk to the younger children is that there are 3 kinds of food: go food, grow food, and glow foods. And you categorize them in that. Your plate should have that. Go foods is like what you need, fats and carbohydrates. Grow foods are all the protein sources, and glow foods are the vitamins and minerals, all the fruits and vegetables. So talk to children about them. Let them know what is on their plate and why it is there. Get them to read food labels. It's a very good habit, which again, not everybody follows, but it is important. Right now, they have the time, and I think it could become a family activity that they're reading the food labels together. Other things which parents should do to make it a healthy environment for the children to make healthy choices is eat together, so that you can monitor what you're eating. Just eating food, it just gives an opportunity to share so many other things. You know what's happening in your child's life. You get opportunity to talk. You get opportunity to talk about the food. So it's a very good habit. And I think now we are all forced to be together. So meal times can be together. Breakfast and dinner, at least, if the lunch is still, you're busy with the working day and you have a working lunch. Be a role model. Like Tanya said, not only for activity, I think for food also, parents have to be a role model. We tell the parents, read so that your child reads. Similarly, eat well so that your child eats well. Be active so that your child learns from you. And children just see they learn what they see. Limit the treats. A temptation is for a mom or a dad to give a treat. And again, processed foods or fizzy drinks are a treat. Limit those treats and let the children know again why. There are so many substitutes to a fizzy drink. You can have nimbu pani, you can have coconut water. Children can make the nimbu pani themselves. You can just have a jug full of water with lemon and mint. It's a matter of habit. The children might resist in the beginning, but eventually they will understand, and it's a habit which will be beneficial for them for life. Similarly, for food, I think what we call it is a covert cuisine. You hide certain things for children because the moment they see green on their plate, there is I'm not going to eat that. So there are many ways to add some, extenders to the diet, which again can become habit for children, like, cucumber, carrots. Slowly and steadily, they will get into the habit. Grated vegetables can go into many things which can make it healthy for the children. Camouflage them, ground meat, ground soya. So there are many, many tips like this which moms can use. These days in summers, I think popsicles and smoothies. Popsicle you can make out of fresh fruit juice. Why do you have to get an ice cream? You can get that. So again, when you have that in the house and you don't bring in junk food, children will start reaching out to these things, and you will be able to get them into healthy habits which you want to. Because high salt, high sugar, high fat is not going to do them any good, especially during the lockdown when the activity is so restricted.
Thank you so much, Rima. Coming straight from a nutritionist, very commendable, very doable ideas, and I think again great takeaway for parents. I might get lots of brownie points on your behalf from the parents today. One thing which I have tried with the parents is getting the children to be involved in the cooking process and the presentation process. You don't need to be near fire. Even a 7-year-old can present something nice. It's been made, or they can make salads. It's simple. Put whatever you want. There are no rules with salads now. You can put fruit, you can put a vegetable, you can put some nuts inside. So let them experiment with that as well. I think it works beautifully. I moved from the kiddie routine to the more young adult routine with Arjun. With gyms closing down all across, a lot of young people depended on the gym for their exercise. What advice would you give them to do this training at home? What is it that they can do to stay fit if their bodies are used to a certain routine and a certain regimen?
Understood, ma'am. So basically what I would say is the human body is designed to match whatever level of stimulus or whatever level of exertion we provide it. Like if I would decide to go to the gym every morning, my body would eventually adapt to that and I would get into the habit. I would start developing a body type of that routine. So now that the gyms are shut, we have to ensure that that level of stimulus is provided from our own homes. Now, for children who are probably under the age of 16, I would honestly recommend a simple body weight training routine. There are plenty of resources available or plenty of routines. I can probably even share some if anyone would like that. And for anyone under the age of 16, simple push-ups, squats, stuff like that, it's enough. It's all that's going to help you is that. Because you're in the growing stage of your life, you need to not put in excessive amounts of exertion on your muscle structure. For those who are above 16 and those who are entering early college years, even including young adults and let's say adults under the age of 35 or 40, you might have been going to the gym regularly every morning, maybe twice or thrice in a week. So for you, this lockdown has definitely given a hit to your regular routines. So what I would recommend is going for an intermediate to an advanced body weight, let's say exercising routine. A lot of those are also available. Or you can even invest in some probably dumbbells or kettlebells on Amazon. And there are plenty of routines available. So just a simple exercise of 20 to 30 minutes every morning will provide you with enough stimulus. Your muscles will maintain their structure till the gyms restart, maintaining a good diet along with that. For people above the age of 40, maybe for around that age structure, so I would say go in for yoga as much as possible. So that's going to help you with inner health as well as physical health. So this is what it is. So like the lockdown is going to probably continue, gyms may not open or restart for the next months to come. Let's say maybe even 6 to 7 months probably. Till we don't get a vaccine, you may not be able to go back to the gym. So we have to ensure that we maintain our physical fitness at those levels which we would want to achieve. Set a target, set an objective, whatever you want to look like in a year from now, put it into your mind because the mind helps you achieve whatever you want, including physical fitness. So that's what I did when I was in school. I just set an objective. I looked at the questions and I was like saying, that's what I want to look like probably 10 years from now. I'm still trying to get there, but I'm not going to give up.
Very good. Thank you so much, Arjun. This not giving up is great. Can I request Arjun and Tanya to help us with this? Just some basic exercises. If you could just make a very short video and send it on the group, we'll give you the credit and we'll put it on our school website. Will that be possible? I'll share it with DPS International also. Yes, Reema. I thought about it before your finger came up. So can I request just a short, just maybe 2 minutes of a little video, and you can tell people how many reps they should do. If it's a squat, we showed how the squat is to be done. And say do 10 squats to start with, do 20 next, after a week or so. We don't want people getting heart attacks with a very extensive, routine. So my next question goes out to Ankit. You've already told us that children have a slight resilience setback, for lack of a better word, and they have not been made fit. And as an educator and as a mum, all of us can take, the blame for that. How do you think this pandemic and lockdown will affect these in the future? I think it's only going to get worse. That's my impression.
There is no second thought to it. Outdoors is an important part of our life as it develops emotional, social, creative, spiritual, and adaptability quotient in addition to the IQ. So lockdown is altogether a different world and we are not prepared to live in it. All wrong habits we have discussed today will tend to increase in such situations. People before it already mingled with technology. Before lockdown, they were already mingled with technology and were having less physical activities. And lockdown, despite of favoring these bad habits, will also reduce social gatherings and affect the social and emotional quotient of adults as well as the kids. So I believe the pandemic and lockdown will affect these habits drastically.
So my next question is linked to this, Ankit, and it comes back to you. How will you as a company now reinvent your own programs in such a way that children still have some feel of adventure and the outdoorsy kind of a feel in the current or in the near future? Because, I really don't think parents are going to be very comfortable sending children far away for maybe another year or so. But you as a company have been known to be progressive, have been known to be good thinkers. Have you something in the pipeline or are you still thinking about it?
Ma'am, adding to what I said earlier, the kids and adults are trapped and they would definitely want to move out to break the monotony and detoxify and to de-stress themselves. Outdoor in current situation is much more safer than indoors, and there is no debate on it. There are many video evidences and stories available on the internet to support it. So I believe domestic travel would be the preferred one. Families and friends should prefer to travel to isolated locations and avoid public places. Avoid staying in concrete hotels and prefer camps and resorts where accommodation is spread out. Follow local rules and guidelines and maintain social distancing, wash hands regularly, wear masks and use sanitizers. Journeys should be done in vehicles which are sanitized with alternate seating arrangements, and prefer to take your home cooked food while you're traveling in the journey. Sharing is caring, but I believe right now we should avoid it. And adventure activities, something one can easily go for, like camping, hiking, trekking, and even water sports of individual capacity like rafting with less people on the rafts, kayaking, rock climbing, etc. All these are adventure activities which are of individual capacity. So by maintaining social distancing, they can be done easily, and they are done close to nature, to the places which are close to nature and in outdoors. So there are a lot of options of day outs near Delhi if we talk about the current situation or near future, and other parts of the country where one can go and spend time with the family, and even schools can prefer to go. But we have to keep in mind that COVID safety is not compromised. The gatherings should be of limited numbers. We as a company are also planning for COVID safe programs. We are making our activities COVID safe without much of human interference. A person can reach the campsite and he can do all these different activities. So this is what we have planned for the near future, and we'll be coming up with more COVID safe programs.
Thank you so much, Ankit. That gives me a lot of hope as an educator. And I think Rima is also feeling quite happy that this pandemic does not mean an end to the fun adventure activities that our children were part of. I, for one, would encourage this. The countries that are now in the plateau, if you notice, I mean, I'm talking specifically about Europe and England, they have allowed families to meet in open areas, not inside the homes. So like my daughter is overseas and she's asking my husband, can I come and camp in the back garden? Because I really want to see you. It's been 3 months now. So these things will open up.
Just one more thing. Like in current situation where we are in our houses, the weather in Delhi is not supportive to bonfires, but we have to draw a theme for the evening that today we all will be sitting around a bonfire, may it be a bulb or a small diya, and we will play Antakshari, or we will do something, we will cook food and serve to each other. Like Ramayana has been started, and you believe all the adults I know, all the old age people, 9 a.m. they are near the TV to see Ramayana. So Ramayana is the theme. I would say in the evening, prepare some of these kind of themes and involve the entire family members. Please switch off the internet so that you all can interact with each other. And parents, educators, government, or rather I should say all the human beings should not focus on keeping them safe, but try to make the environment safer by following rules and guidelines so that we come back to the old normal. And mind you, outdoors is the highest form of research a child does in his life. So we are restricting.
Sapna ma'am, my question comes out to you. How have you as a teacher, you are a very popular teacher, I know, with class 9 and 10, which is a very beautiful age of young adults. How have you encouraged children to engage in physical activity? Because I do know that your interaction goes beyond pure academics.
Yes, ma'am. These 3 months have been challenging, but I think kudos to our children. They are bright, they are enthusiastic still. And along with the academics, then when we have our online classes, we do chat about what they did, what kind of physical activities they're doing, and we do share. So in this conversation, the other children also pick up things. Like, for example, there's one girl in my class, she is a very passionate dancer. So what she did was, she agreed, she said, ma'am, to be very honest, I have left dancing because there's so much of work to do, helping my mother, helping my brother, and doing all the household chores. I was forgetting my dance and the physical activity. So she enrolled herself on for an online dance course. And she says now from 4:30 to 5:30, ma'am, I'm engaged in my dance and in my passion. So that was one. And second, in the school, we have shifted now all the events into online events, and we have inter-school dance. We had this inter-school competition, Goonj, in which we did have one dance competition, and children were dancing at their own places, and then they were editing their dances, and then they were sending in their entries. So it was, I think, promoting physical activity through art, through culture, and all of these things. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sapna. We are running short of time. We normally finish by 11:40, and then we have questions. So I have some questions in my hand which have come in during the course of the this webinar. So there is one question which comes from Ms. Shelly Kaushik. I think this question can be answered by Arjun or maybe even Rima, or maybe both. You can add to each other's answers. She asked, how do we get growing kids studying for various exams get over lethargy and depression? Arjun, any idea? These are children studying for the IIT, maybe for the JEE or for NEET, and they're feeling a little lethargic because sitting on their desk for hours and hours. And maybe there's a bit of depression creeping in because there's so much of uncertainty about what's going to happen next.
So let me begin. At our school, we realized that when children are sitting now behind the computer and the movement is restricted and all the time they're sitting, and we are all worried about their safety in the cyber world. We are talking about digital literacy. So what I did with my team of PE teachers and the leadership, we have now started connecting with children of older classes, and we have started talking about physical literacy, which is equally important. It's not only being safe in the cyber world, but also worrying about your bone health and your joints health and your overall physical fitness. So physical literacy has become a big part of our curriculum now. And for that, of course, make the children understand, as I said earlier, they're old enough, talk to them, discuss with them why it is important for them to, have that movement in their daily life. Teachers at their end have built-in movement breaks. We have a schedule, we follow the timetable. So there are 3 kinds of specific breaks which we have. We call it a movement break or a stretching break, or a physical choice. We have an activity board which has got a lot of choices of physical activity, and children can choose one activity. So these 3 breaks intersperse the day's timetable. 15 minutes are devoted and children get a choice. When it's a movement break, the whole class has to move about, walk about, go to get water or something. Stretching break, they do some stretching exercises. Your own choice from the physical activity board. So these are the ways we have incorporated, and we keep talking to children why physical literacy is so important in this day and age along with digital literacy. So that's from the school here.
So ma'am, one thing which I could recommend is what my parents actually taught me. So that was to focus on the process and not on the outcome of the process. So when you're in those years in which, you're studying for your IITs, your college, you're moving into, that's one of the most stressful periods of your own lifetime. I went through it a couple of years back and I know how stressful those times were. So that's what I would recommend, focus on the process, number 1. Number 2, I would say is that the mind normally doesn't get tired, it just gets bored. So if you are feeling lethargic, if you are feeling, let's say, a little upset or let's say anxious, or, you're feeling some depression-like symptoms, I would say make sure you stand up every hour, take a break, stretch a bit, talk to some people around you, maybe your brother, your sister, your parents, maybe a friend, give a call. So it's important to, keep changing what you're doing, because if you build a routine around studying or something like that, your mind will start getting bored of it. You start building some lethargy around it. So keep changing things and make sure you keep stretching every hour or so, stand up for a bit, go outside, take a walk around your, your balcony or maybe your house or something like that. So keep mixing it up. That's all I would really recommend.
Wonderful idea, Arjun. In fact, I would recommend to parents and to children that when you are studying, you must be having friends with you, so plan your breaks together. After every 2 hours, plan to get online and talk to each other, de-stress each other, laugh, tell a joke, sing, do something which you haven't done before. There is one question from Mr. Jayaditya Punyani. I don't know who's going to answer this, maybe Tanya. What are the best ways to lose weight during the lockdown for foodies? So here's somebody who obviously loves to eat.
Well, the question is, how badly do you want to lose weight?
Yes.
In any situation, how badly do you want it? You are sitting more, you are not working out as much, therefore you are eating more and burning less calories. I would say just be mindful, yeah. It's your body, it's your health. Food is not going to go anywhere. I mean, I know it's a very simple and a very non-educator advice, but really it's your body. If you don't treat it right during this time, you will be never be able to treat it right. That's what I feel. So are you drinking a lot of water? Have you, okay, so eat. But before eating, before reaching out for that really tempting snack, just have a glass of water. And if you can add those glasses of waters, like maybe 10 glasses of water a day, I can assure you your hunger is unnecessary and uncalled for a lot of times. So I used to not drink enough water before the lockdown, but then I realized I'm home, the loo is right here, I'm not going anywhere. Let me just increase my water and see what happens. And honestly, the results are great. I am much more energetic than I was when I was surviving on 1 liter of water. And today I'm on 3 liters of water for the last 3 months. And I feel at least 10 times more energetic than I used to. So this is my first advice to foodies. How much water are you drinking?
Thank you. Thank you. Very, very doable again, Tanya. What I'm liking about the panel is you're telling us things which can be done very easily without any stress and without, tying yourself up in knots. There are 2 anonymous questions which are pretty much linked, and I think Tanya has addressed them, but I'll just read them out. At present, health and physical activities are not being focused on. As parents, what should we do? You've already said they should be role models. If they exercise, the kids will exercise as well. Children do tend to emulate their parents. And how do we make young children exercise regularly, which will help in increasing concentration levels? Same answer. I think you need to exercise. Whatever you want your child to do, you have to do it yourself. It's as simple as that. You want them to be caring, you have to show caring, not just talk about it. You want them to be charitable, show them charity, don't just talk about it. My last question is open to everybody. It comes from one of our ex-students, Pragya Mathur, who was also in the head council some years ago. What are your tips to help boost immunity first and address social isolation stress in our immune system? So anything, any ideas to boost immunity and address social isolation?
Sorry, Sapna ma'am, you can carry on with this.
Sapna, Ankit, Arjun, Rima, Tanya, anyone, just pick out. You can talk about immunity, maybe Rima and Ankit can talk about immunity, and about social isolation, Arjun, Sapna and Tanya. Will that help?
Yes, ma'am. I would just give an example here. While I was interacting with the head council of the school, so one of the council members suggested, we were trying to think of the ways to reaching out the community in this lockdown situation. So one of them said, ma'am, I think the one community out there who needs us most is the elderly community, because they are very, very lonely. So what I am trying to develop is an app wherein they can reach out to us and we can just talk to them how they're feeling, what are their apprehensions, what are their concerns, are they scared, are they upset about certain things. So the moment they talk about it, their loneliness will go away. So we are working on that app. Let's see how soon we can develop that, and probably we can reach out to the community in this way. So this is one of the,
Social isolation is an issue. I mean, yesterday we've heard the heartbreaking news of a young, talented, healthy young actor, Sushant Singh Rajput, ending his life. So somewhere I think this isolation is hitting at everybody. And for some reason, we discussed this in the last webinar, why do people not talk about mental health? We find it easy to say, I have a stomachache, I have a headache. Why can't we ring up somebody and say, I'm feeling very sad today, I really need to talk? I think it's high time that was acceptable. Sadness is not depression. Feeling worried is not anxiety disorder. These are just days that you feel a certain way. We should be able to talk about it. So, any ideas, Tanya, Arjun, anything to end this social isolation bit, you know?
Ma'am, I would say that social isolation is not really a correct thing to say. It's actually physical isolation. The government and we've all been asked to actually physically isolate ourselves. Socially isolating ourselves is our own choice. So you can still reach out to your friends. You can reach out to your family. You can reach out to anybody who you would like to talk to. I mean, that's the benefit of technology. It's come as a blessing at these times. I can actually pick up the phone and call someone if I'm not happy, if I'm not liking what my day is going. So do not isolate yourself socially. Do it physically. Isolate yourself physically, but make sure you're still in touch with the world. Make sure you're still in touch with your peers, with your friends.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Arjun. Tanya?
Ma'am, for this, you know, I think that, of course, what Arjun has said is right, but I think it's important to have your inner circle aware of what you're going through. So we all have an inner circle as women, as parents, as friends, right? There are these 2 to 3 to 4 touch points in our lives where we feel comfortable talking about what we go through. And I think that's where the curtain of shame should lift up. I mean, should be able to say that, you know, today I haven't woken up great. And I feel like that's happened to me for the last 3 days. You know, what do I do? Maybe a WhatsApp call with that inner circle will elevate me. Maybe, right? And I definitely think that there is so much power in social media. I think you should be active on social media. Why not? Even if you're a teenager or you're a young adult, you should be active on social media. You should post. You should be there. And maybe you're not feeling your best today, so take a break, but come back tomorrow. So I think just keep talking to yourself, keep your inner circle aware of how you're feeling, and don't feel shy asking for a little bit of help. It's okay.
I agree. And I think, Tanya, you're a great example. While you're in Chandigarh with your parents, you're very, very involved in what is happening in the condominium. You're very much there to talk, to hold out a hand. And I really applaud you on that. It mustn't be easy.
Also, as we have discussed, we were talking about the immunity and social isolation, and there was a question where how we encourage our kids to do exercise. I'll tell you, as I said earlier, add some themes, make it more creative. What I have done at my places, we have a small notice board which says restaurant this side, evening tea time at this side. What you have at camps?
Like the camp
area is this way, evening tea is this way. This is the cinema hall. That's my bedroom, which we have made it a cinema hall. So all around the day we follow a routine. Since we are isolated, we are in the house. So in this way now everyone knows, okay, this is the tea time and everyone will be sitting in that room and having tea. This is the time when we have to go to the cinema to watch the movie. And dining area is there. All the meals would be served there. And as camp, again, have a routine that you have to wash your utensils yourself. There's no domestic help coming in, so everyone washes their own plates and utensils. This is the time when we have to do the morning drill. So morning drill means mopping the floor and cleaning and everything. This is like, so we have scheduled an itinerary inside the house, distributed the duties, and everyone is doing it. Even my 3-year-old kid, he also does it. So in this way we make it more creative and it's happening. And lastly, medicines, exercise, etc. Absolutely, it will add up to the immunity. The most important, I would think, is happiness, smiles, and laughter. So more time you're sitting with your family, smiling, laughing, enjoying, it more immune the system will become.
Yes, I agree completely. Again, a very doable thing, a great takeaway for parents. Name your rooms. Like, my father once asked, we have a chat every day at 5:30, my brothers, me and my parents. My father, he begins with this, what did you all do today? So I said, today I went to Diwane-Aam. He says, what? You stepped out? Went to Delhi? I said, no, I went and sat in the drawing room for about 2-3 hours and did my work from there instead of the dining room. So he says, Diwane-Aam? I said, yeah. He said, what is that? I said, obviously my bedroom. So, just renaming your own home, because that's your kingdom now. You're not going out. So name your rooms differently. I love your idea and I'm going to do the same today, Ankit. I like it. Rima, any last thoughts?
One last example I want to share after what Ankit shared, it reminded me. One family has shared with me that they have a Friday disco. So each family member gets to plan that disco night. They take out all the fairy lights now. They've taken them out Diwali time. So that person decorates the living room, makes a curated playlist for the dances, and 20 minutes, 30 minutes, that whole family dances. I think it's a brilliant idea. Everybody loves to dance. The peppy numbers are on, and everybody waits now. What is the playlist going to be for the next Friday? And they get the settings right and the mood right, and then they have a Friday disco, which is wonderful, like a theme Ankit said. And to add to what everybody else said, I think to build your immunity, positive thinking, not overthinking, limiting your media consumption is so important, because you need immunity of mind also. We will otherwise just, the balance will be lost, and we'll all just go the wrong way if we just overthink, see too much of news and let that dictate our lives every day. We really need to be, careful about that. Moderation and balance over there is required.
I think somebody saying something? I think this has been very beautifully articulated webinar. I'm so grateful to all 5 of you for sharing your insights, both personal and professional. I think all the viewers have gained tremendously. I know. I'm going back with a lot of new ideas. And yes, I will visualize me next year, Arjun. That's a promise. The new me with maybe more fitness. Maybe I'll reverse some of the problems that my body has got into, which are stress related. Though I'm told I'm a very positive person, but I do have certain stress related maladies inside me. I will deal with them. Thank you, Tanya, Hima, Ankit, Sapna, and Arjun for giving us this 1 hour. It means the world to us.
Thank
Namaskar.
You very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.